Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Retro Pop Planet. Does anybody remember Elvis Presley's bizarre visit to President Richard Nixon in December of 1970? The one with the photo? And then the confiscated gun. Well, while he was in town, I believe it was a week, although he did travel back to Los Angeles, he stayed here at the Hotel Washington here at 15th and F Street. Notice that they've actually changed the entrance. This was one of this might have actually been the main entrance. All right, let's talk through this crazy visit and see if we can't uncover some of the truths. The W Hotel was like super brash and outlandish, and that style was pretty dated when they remodeled it. And supposedly they've remodeled it to be more of like a classic era hotel. I would imagine it looks a little bit more like the hotel that Elvis would have remembered. And he stayed in room 505, 506, and 507, which was a block of rooms. Now it's one whole suite and it has a completely different number. I hope they let me in because I haven't been here since it was the W Hotel. So I'm curious to see what it looks like on the inside. The story began in Memphis a few days earlier when Elvis's father, Vernon, and wife, Priscilla, complained that he'd spent too much on Christmas presents, more than $100,000 for 32 handguns and 10 Mercedes. Peeved, Elvis drove to the airport and caught the next available flight, which happened to be bound for Washington. He checked into a hotel, then got bored and decided to fly to Los Angeles. Elvis called and asked me to pick him up at the airport, recalls Jerry Schilling, Presley's longtime aide, who dutifully arrived at the Los Angeles airport at 3 a.m. to chauffeur the king to his mansion there. Elvis was traveling with some guns and his collection of police badges, and he decided that what he really wanted was a badge from the Federal Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs back in Washington. The NARC badge represented some kind of ultimate power to him, Priscilla Presley wrote in her memoir, Elvis and Me. With the Federal Narcotics badge, he believed he could legally enter any country both wearing guns and carrying any drugs he wished. After just one day in LA, Elvis asked Schilling to fly with him back to the Capitol. He didn't say why, Schilling recalls, but I thought the badge might be part of the reason. On the red eye to Washington, Elvis scribbled a letter to President Nixon. Sir, I can and will be of any service that I can to help the country out, he wrote. All he wanted to return was a federal agent's badge. I would love to meet you, he added, informing Nixon that he'd be staying at the Washington Hotel under the alias John Burroughs. I will be here for as long as it takes to get the credentials of a federal agent. After they landed, Elvis and Schilling took a limo to the White House, and Elvis dropped off his letter at an entrance gate at about 6:30 a.m. Once they checked in at their hotel, Elvis left for the offices of the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. He got a meeting with a deputy director, but not approval for a bureau badge. Meanwhile, his letter was delivered to Nixon aide Egil Bud Crow, who happened to be an Elvis fan. Crow loved the idea of a Nixon-Presley summit and persuaded his bosses, including White House Chief of Staff Bob Haldeman, to make it happen. Crow called the Washington Hotel and set up a meeting through Schilling. Around noon, Elvis arrived at the White House with Schilling and bodyguard Sonny West, who just arrived from Memphis. Arrayed in a purple velvet suit with a huge gold belt buckle and amber sunglasses, Elvis came bearing a gift, a Colt .45 pistol mounted in a display case that Elvis had plucked off the wall of his Los Angeles mansion, which the Secret Service confiscated before Crow escorted Elvis without his entourage to meet Nixon. Nixon's famous taping system had not yet been installed, so the conversation wasn't recorded. But Crow took notes. Presley indicated that he thought the Beatles had been a real force for anti-American spirit. The president then indicated that those who use drugs are also those in the vanguard of anti-American protest. I'm on your side, Elvis told Nixon, adding that he'd been studying the drug culture and communist brainwashing. Then he asked the president for a badge from the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. Can we get him a badge? Nixon asked Crow. Crow said he could, and Nixon ordered it done. Elvis was ecstatic. In a surprising, spontaneous gesture, Crow wrote, Elvis put his left arm around the president and hugged him. Before leaving, Elvis asked Nixon to say hello to Schilling and West, and the two men were escorted into the Oval Office. Nixon playfully punched Schilling on the shoulder and gave both men White House cufflinks. After Crow took him to lunch at the White House mess, Elvis received his gift, the NARC badge, and at Elvis's request, the meeting was kept a secret. This is a very, very famous hotel. A number of noted celebrities have stayed there, including Tom Cruise, but also the Ziegfeld Follies. But it's crazy to think that Elvis in the 1970s would have walked across here into his waiting limo. And when he went to see Nixon, I think he just walked across the street right here because the White House is literally like right behind there. My voiceover is a direct quote from Smithsonian Magazine from 2010. But is that the whole story? According to ElvisBiography.net, Elvis was also in town to visit his girlfriend Joyce Bova, a staffer on Capitol Hill. He'd last seen her in August in Vegas as she was storming out of his suite after a fight. So one of his reasons for being in town was to attempt to meet with Bova and make up. I'll leave links to both articles in the description of this video so you can draw your own conclusions. All right, we're gonna end this little tour down Elvis memory lane here at the White House. I didn't post a lot from the Hotel Washington because I unfortunately couldn't get up the elevators. It was blocked off. I wanted to show you guys the rooftop view because they are awesome, but you now need a key card. And supposedly, according to the National Archives, that photo of Elvis and Nixon is their most downloaded photo ever, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, please give it a like, please leave me a comment, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more pop culture adventures, and I'll see you guys in the next video.